Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast. We are going to be as professional as ever today with Micheál, Deasy and Steve Jones. I'm Tom Stanley, your host, as ever. Long may that continue. Let's hope. And we're going to take you through some incredibly strong racing this weekend. So we've got Irish Champions Weekend. We're going to be previewing. We'll start with Saturday. We'll do the St. Leger, Doncaster. We'll start with Doncaster. We've binned off Chester, no offense, but there's loads of racing. That might feature in the other bets section, but we're going to go all of Donny, and then Leopardstown Saturday, then move on to Sunday and spread it up into UK Irish as well. So hopefully that makes it a bit easier for you to follow. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's the best no-cost way of supporting this podcast, however you are listening and watching. Right, we kick off with the 340 at Doncaster. It is the St. Leger, and Micheál Deasy is straight in there with a big old price on the horse I put up for the Derby, D, 17.0.
Yeah, going for Deasy. Look, I suppose the favourite is the right favourite. He's probably the right price, but I don't want to back him at sub 3.0. I thought Deasy just had it, like, he's the perfect profile for this. He was staying on at the end of the Derby. They've kept him for this. He had a nice little for a little run around Windsor there recently in a listed race. Didn't win, but I think this is that was only just to blow the cobwebs off. Ready to go for this. He's 17.0. They've put blinkers on him just to sharpen him up. It's not an each way race. I just wanted to pick something at a price that could cause a shock. And I like a lot about him for this race.
I'll jump in just because you said the favourite's the right favourite. I'm not so sure. I think I like Jan Bruegel, and I've always been a big Jan Bruegel fan. He's a behind the bridle, slightly lazy horse, but he only just does enough. The last two wins have been by a neck. I thought Ryan Moore was brilliant the time before last. He was very good last time as well, but a mile and a half suited better. I have no doubt that an extra 2.5 furlongs is going to suit. And I totally understand that Illinois, his York form has more obvious substance to it. However, not only did a couple disappoint on that day, Illinois, he was always in a nice position to go and finish close to Los Angeles, who again is a horse that only just does enough. I think he was slightly flattered by that. And I think that Jan Bruegel could easily, they've made no secret, the team, that this has been their number one Leger horse. So Wayne Lawton has chosen Illinois, I guess, off the back. He rode him last time. I guess he was always going to do that. I'm really excited by Jan Bruegel in here at 5.0. I think that's a very fair price, and I think there should be less between the top two in the betting, a good bit less, to be honest. I'd happily have Jan Bruegel at the top of it. Steve Jones.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jan Bruegel of the O'Brien horses is the one, but I think Sunway's very, very interesting. Got within 3/4 of a length of Los Angeles in the Irish Derby, and they seem to get first run on him. He got into all sorts of trouble in that race, and he really picked up in the closing stages. He looked like he might even be fourth, even with a furlong to run, but then really picked up in the closing stages. He is going to love this 2.5 extra furlongs. He ran in the King George. Well, that's against older horses. He's the one that's been taking on the older horses, like Blue Stocking, Rebels Romance, August Rodan, that he finished in front of in the King George. Okay, he wasn't any match for Goliath, but he was on the tail of Goliath, going into the home turn, and got in all sorts of trouble. There was a little bit of barging. I think that his problem was he wasn't quick enough to take advantage of the gaps, and when they got a bit rough, he didn't have the pace to do that. Up to a mile 6.5, I think this is got a really good chance, Sunway. And David Manwizier, he's got one of his countrymen, Christophe Soumillon, over, big race rider. I think he's way overpriced. I think he's very interesting, Sunway.
Okay, so no love for Illinois whatsoever, the current favourite for the St. Leger. We move on to the Champagne. We're going to go back. So all of Donny on Saturday, first of all. No bet for DC. Champagne, I think, is a really interesting race. Steve, I very nearly went for the horse you went for. I was finding them tough to split. Wolf of Badenoch and Right Here, Right Now. My starting point, Steve, was that I wanted to be against Chancellor, not necessarily a lay at the best part of 3.0, but I think Right Here, Right Now is very impressive what he did at Newmarket on debut. And Wolf of Badenoch, I think that's decent form, but I think moreover, Hugo Palm would have liked to have run him before that race, or maybe not even run him there, run him somewhere else. But I think he's a horse that's really going to improve as well. They're both 4.5. I've chosen right here, right now. I could easily back yours as well.
Yeah, I can't quite get my head around why Chancellor is so strong in the betting. When for me, that second at Goodwood in the Vintage Stakes, which Wolf of Badenoch put in last time, when coming off the back of just one debut win, it's not easy for a 2-year-old to go straight from a maiden win into a group race, and that's what Wolf of Badenoch did last time. And the fact that he wasn't particularly well positioned in the rear, Morey City, the horse who won the race, had already run in a group race, had finished third to Whistlejacket in the July Stakes, and got first run of him, was more professional. But that was a really good effort from Wolf of Badenoch when you consider the third home, Cool Hoof Luke, went and won the Gimcrack next time. So the form's very solid. I can't get my head around why this horse isn't favourite. And so Wolf of Badenoch, for me, I'm really strong on him. Jamie Spencer rides him. He rode him at Goodwood. And I think that this is the best bet of the day for me.
There you go. No love for the favourite there either. Moving on to the Portland. This is the 225, 22 runners in here. We've got 3 different horses going up. I suppose that's unsurprising. Deasy, you can kick off with your shout.
Yeah, I've gone for Bergerac. Kevin Ryan's horse. He finished 6th last time at York behind JM Jungle, but he was the only one. I think he won his side. There was a huge bias towards the low drawn horses there that day. He came tanking through. He was a very big price on the day. Again, look, he's a big price again tomorrow. He's 17.0. I just think he's a good solid handicapper and hasn't gone up for that run the last time, so he's running off 90. I think he can hit the frame, so I'd probably have a small bet on the win and maybe back him for 4 and 5 places as well.
Steve?
Yeah, if the producer was any good, when Dee said Bergerac, he would put some music on that went bow, 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 or something like that.
Dan wasn't born for 20 years after Bergerac.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So Holcombe Bay for me, the Incredible Hulk, who has been in great form this season, and it's certainly improving all the time. Went close in a couple of big field handicaps at Ascot and York, and then won one at York in June. Backed it up even more impressive at the Shergar Cup meeting. And then last time finished 20th of 22 on the first day of the York Ebor meeting. Completely ignore that. He was drawn 22. And if you remember back, especially in the early parts of the Ebor meeting, you had to be low in the sprints on the straight course. And being 22, he had never had any chance whatsoever. Brandon Wilkie, who's a £5 claiming apprentice and a good one, he's got an excellent record on this horse, Holcombe Bay. I expect this distance, because after all, it's 5 furlongs, 143 yards. This is a horse that won over 6 at York and then dropped back at 5 in the Shergar Cup at Ascot. This in-between distance doesn't suit every horse. It'll suit Holcombe Bay, who's, I think, got a fantastic chance and would be favourite, I think, had he not run at the Ebor meeting when he had no chance because of the draw.
I'm going to jump on that bandwagon. I didn't want to put 2 up, but I think I completely agree. It's very boring agreeing with Steve, but exactly that. He was absolutely stuffed from where he was, albeit he ran poorly his side. He just no chance there. And the other point with Holcombe Bay and the horse I'm putting up, which is Albashir, is he won at Ascot, but Ascot straight course form translates well to Donny quite often. They're similar sort of surfaces given when they were relayed, and he's got form there. And so does Albashir. Likes Ascot. I'm not sure he's run here, actually. I'll check that while telling you that the point about him is, I mean, he's up to a mark of 105, but he's just in such good form. He has run here once and he won. No, he's run here twice. Both over 7 furlongs, and he won, and then he was second to Chindit in the Champagne. So there you go. That was when he was with Owen Burrows. So he's got good course form. Wait, but the main angle with him is just the form he's in. He won at Ascot. He then, I'm not sure Goodwood over 6 was really ever going to be his bag, and he tried to come from off it that day. York, I mean, that was the race that El Monjed won, and he was drawn absolutely the right side. Al Bashir was drawn in 19, so he was never really going to have a chance from there, given that El Monjed came out at 2 and 1 over towards that far side. And then last time, I thought he was unlucky not to win the Beverly Bullet. So the concern is that he's up to a mark of 105, but he's just in such good nick at 11.0. I definitely want him on side. The Park Stakes next. 3 different horses going up again for this 7 furlong contest. My case for Kinross, 3.25. I think that obviously he swerved York. He might not quite be the force of all, but this is just his bag. Everything is right for this horse. And speaking to Ross O'Ryan a couple of weeks ago about him, he thinks he's every bit as good as he used to be, and he was going to be his best chance at York before he was taken out. I'll stick with him at 3.25. DC.
I like lead artist, John Gosden horse. He was in the betting for the St. James Palace after winning a York earlier in the season, but he didn't make that. Had a little break, came back down in July, but won from the front in Goodwood, beating King's Gamble. We were talking about the sections with you, Tom, just before this. You said like his slowest sectional was his last sectional, so maybe the drop down to 7 furlong will suit him. I just think he's obviously a progressive horse. They're kind of stepping up in grade. He's after running in the listed race. I think 2 runs ago, he's here now in Group 2. His price is coming in as well since yesterday. He was a bigger price when I was going through the race first. I like the look of him. I like horses that go from the front and win like he did the last time. And I could see him going off very close on price to Kinross, the way the money is coming from now.
And his section at York was hugely impressive. That led to me backing him at Newmarket, where he ran an absolute stinker, and then I left him alone at Goodwood. But the point, as you say about that, was he was hassled up front. He did really well to win, I thought, over the mile, given that he didn't nick it by any stretch. Yeah. So that's the top 2 in the betting. Can you put up the 3rd in the betting, Steve?
Probably Lake Forest,
yeah.
who was runner-up in the Commonwealth Cup first time up, which is obviously a great Group 1 for 3-year-olds over 6 furlongs. Last time, I think it's pretty obvious this horse wants 7 furlongs. Might even stay a bit further, but he was a very good 2-year-old. He won the Gym Crack last year. He's only had 2 runs this season. So he's fresher than most. He's still unexposed. He's going up to 7 furlongs, which just so I just think he wins.
Okay, Lake Forest. He will want to be less of a so-and-so than he was last time.
Yeah, he got upset in the stalls, didn't it, York? So presumably they've been working on that, but it's not a common trait for him. He's performed to a high level in the past, so I'm not worried about it.
All right, moving on to Ireland on Saturday, the Irish Champion Stakes, the Royal Bahrain Irish Champion Stakes to you and I. I'm looking forward to this case from Steve Jones. Take it away. Why does this horse win?
Well, Fallen Angel. Just let me get the race up a sec.
No, we're starting with the Irish Champion Stakes, Steve. The Royal Bahrain Irish Champion Stakes. Don't worry. That is what's on the running order, and I did say that, but don't worry. You're all right.
Oh, it's Leopardstown. Sorry, I'm all over the place at the moment.
You're fine. You're doing really well. We'll just get Dan to edit this out in the podcast. That's fine.
So you want to know why? You want to know why economics is going to win?
Can you edit that out, Dan? There you are. Can you edit that out? Thank you. Go on, Steve. Off you go.
So you want to know why economics is going to win?
Yep. Yes,
because
please.
He's the best horse.
Okay.
I mean, he absolutely bolted up in the Dante, as we know. Then he's typical of William Haggis. He doesn't get too excited. He does what's best for the horse. He doesn't rush them. And it was rewarded at Deauville in Group 2 when it was a good Group 2 because he beat JRB, who's a horse I rate. So I just think he's top class, and I think he'll show it.
DC.
I couldn't back him or lay him economics. He could be a super horse and has been incredibly impressive in his 3 runs this year, but he hasn't raced in anything near this class of a race of Derby winners. And like I go through the next 3, August Road, and I don't fancy him because they keep making excuses, and the ground mightn't be rattling fast here, and he seems to be on really good ground. Although I don't think it's been very wet up in Dublin, so the ground should be perfect. There should be no excuses. I like Los Angeles. I think he has been really, really good this year. He's not a Galileo. He's actually a Camelot, but he's a lot like the Galileo. He's very tough. Doors there. They're not going to make this easy for economics to just sit out the back and just fly home. They're going to make this a proper test. I was going through him. Ghost Rider, I think his performance last time was excellent, but I just don't think he's probably up to the top level. I think there's probably few negatives, not a few negatives, but a little negative about economics and Ghost Rider. And I thought Los Angeles has had almost a perfect season, and he's a cracking price at what is it? It was about 7.0. Yeah, I think he'll go very close.
So I'm not just being contrary for contrary's sake. I feel like they might not make it a mad test, because if economics is going to sit off them, which I think he will, out of 8 as well, drawn widest of all, I think Tom Markham's hand will be forced to, and that's what he does anyway. I wonder if that's almost his best chance. If they go really hard, you either sort of at Leopardstown, you either come wide and late when they go hard, or if they don't go hard, you sit nearer the rail on the speed and stay there. And they've got Coolmore this year. They've got horses in 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it's a perfect opportunity for Hans Andersen to go forward, August Rodin to sit, and Los Angeles as well won't be too far away. Hans Andersen to just sit off them, and both Hans Andersen and Luxembourg could be the perfect blockers, and I think that's how they'll use them. They'll sit 2 or 3 off the rail and act as essentially blockers to economics trying to come with a run. And I wonder if they'll go not too quick, knowing that economics is going to sit off it. And a bit like happened last year, where August Rodin had the perfect trip in the race, and horses like Nashwa and King of Steel and Alflela, who sat out the back, had absolutely zero chance to go and make up the ground, and they couldn't get there. So I just wonder if that's how they'll play it, because I think the best way, if economics is going to be held up of getting him beat, is to not go quick and to have some horses sat in his way when he's trying to make his challenge. So that will really suit Auguste Rodin. I think he's the most likely winner, but I thought Ghostwriter, who out of 2 will get a prominent position, and he was only 4.5 lengths behind City of Troy last time. That was closer than Los Angeles got to City of Troy in a derby. I know it was over 1.5 miles. I just wonder if Ghostwriter, he's into 9.0 now. He was 13.0 yesterday, but I just feel he's just a touch underestimated. Although maybe he was flattered slightly last time, although he was wide and lit up. I thought he ran a really good race, but I would back him win and place. I think Tom Marquand is going to have a serious challenge on his hands with the 4 Coolmore horses in there. Maybe economics would be good enough, but I wouldn't back him at that sort of price. Does anybody want to say anything on that?
I hope economics is that good. I would like to see him going around all these and pissing up. It'd be good for racing, especially to have a star performance like this when the best Irish horse isn't running there.
I could completely, and you don't want to come away and go, oh, they sort of controlled the race or made his life difficult, and maybe the best horse didn't win. I hope he does. We'll see. The Matron. This is the 250, and Porta Fortuna is bang at the top of the betting. None of us are going Porta Fortuna. Go on, Steve. You can make your Fallen Angel race.
Yeah, it's a long time coming. For Fallen Angel, obviously didn't run all that great in the Guineas, but then bounced back to win the Irish Guineas very impressively, making all the running. But I don't think she has to just a strong stare at a mile. She absolutely thrashed Porta Fortuna in the Moyglare Stud Stakes on this weekend last year. And I wouldn't be massively strong on anything in this, but I just thought she was the most likely winner, Fallen Angel, even though she hasn't run since that Irish Guineas. I think she's going to it's almost an advantage to be fresh this time of year.
I'm going off my shout by the second, which is Ylang Ylang, 7.0. It's just because he's done it before like this, and given her like last time was very much a prep race for this, and then I think possibly the Breeders' Cup. She obviously disappointing last time. I think Epsom just wasn't her, and she didn't handle the track at all. And I think the Guineas run. So if you're willing to forgive the last 2 starts, the Guineas run is good enough for her to be shorter here. But it's not a very clever shout because it's not obvious and she's not a massive price. But if I'm going to back one, it's her at 7.0. You can tell I'm really confident. DC.
Oh, the juice is gone at the price of this one now, but I thought the one that was most interesting was Jancis, William McCreary's horse. This horse is going to be looking for an economics-esque run from the back and sweep around and pick them all up. But she has looked really, really good in her 2 races. She won a Fillies Maiden by 2 3/4 lengths, but again, she's coming from the back. She could have won that by a lot more. Same last time they stepped her up to a Group 3, and she won it by 2 1/4 lengths again. I just think she could be really good. William McCreary does very well with fillies and mares. His best horses are usually fillies and mares. I was expecting her to be a bigger price now than 8.0, but that's just about a win place price. So I'd probably have a win place bet on her, but I would advise anyone to go back and look at her 2 runs and make her mind up then.
Okay. Any other Saturday bets? Steve, first of all, you've got a few. You've got one at Donny, one at Chester. Take it away.
The one at Chester is Zoffi, who's got a really good record around Chester. Came close to winning the Chester Cup a couple of years ago. I think that the testing ground will be ideal because he goes on anything, but that'll really bring his stamina into play. And he was only beaten half a length by Micheál in that Chester Cup. And then he won the consolation this year. And he's just a horse that loves the track. And that's half the battle at Chester. The other one is Aryan Power, who's in the 4:15 at Doncaster. He's interesting. He's definitely got the talent. He was undone by the draw the last couple of starts, and then he won earlier in the season. And if you go back to last season, he's not a horse that's had a lot of racing. He's not stood a lot of racing, but they've kept. He's trained by Sir Michael Stout. He's owned by King Power, and they've kept the faith with him, even though he's getting on a bit now. So they clearly think he's still got that talent. And it was only last year that he ran really well in the Hunt Cup. So he's got a bit of class. He's a big price. So Aryan Power in the 4:15.
Dees, what have you got for us elsewhere?
The surprise package in the 4:35 Leopardstown. People will remember this horse. He won the Imperial Cup in 2022 before finishing 6th in the County Hurdle that State Man won. And after that County Hurdle, he was rated 145 over hurdles. He had a long layoff, and they brought him back and gave him a little bit of a flat campaign last summer where he ended up winning. He ran Ballinrobe, won a race in Cork and was put away for a year again. And he has run 2 flat races this year. He won the last time he won. It was at Ballinrobe. He won it. He was 11.0 after drifting massively in the betting. But still got up. He probably could have had options at Galway or other places, but he's turning up here. He is running off 83 with another 3 pounds taken off, so he's going to be off a featherweight. Peter Fahey is a very, very good trainer. Just thought he was an interesting one. If there's money comes from, I'd say he'd be definitely worth a win place bet.
Okay, that's any other Saturdays done. Any other Sundays next? So we've got Donny in the car. We are waiting on decks, but we're getting there. There's a few more individuals jocked up, but I'm just waiting for those to come through. DC, what have you got for us? And I'll check they're definitely going. You're with Aomori City. Interesting in the national. Go on.
I'll just do the first one there. Cordas is running in the Flying 5. There was a pro price thing. He's 17.0. I just think that's far too big. He won there at Haydock just before Ascot. He won the Temple Stakes, beating Living the Dream as for few other decent sprinters. The Irish sprint, generally the English horses are good value for when they come over here to take on the Irish sprint races. He was marked up there at 17.0. I think if he's actually declared, he'll probably be a lot shorter than that. But I'd definitely be having a win place betting him if we're getting 4 or 5 places. He's a decent horse. And the other one then is in Morris City. Yeah, I like him. I thought he was very good at Goodwood. Charlie Appleby has done very well in this race. He sent his best horse, probably his best 2-year-old out to this a few times. You look back to it there, like you quart up Pinatubo native trail. The O'Brien horse is very short. Like this horse is 5.5. He's not going to be 5.5 in the day. Charlie Appleby is hitting for him, so I'll stick with him
there. Hopefully for Steve Wolf of Badenoch would have done that form from the vintage a good bit of good for that. I've got a couple. There were a few horses on the day who I wasn't so keen on at the top of the market, but Kyprios, he's got to be. I mean, he's currently down at 1.9. He's got to be way shorter than that, surely. Depending on what else runs, I just don't see how the horse doesn't cop. I think if you're getting 1.7 or bigger on Kyprios, like if you're, I mean, I'll have a good few multiples on a day, and I would be sticking him in there to just try and bump up the accumulator prices, which you obviously can do on Matchbook. Yeah, he's the best stayer going. He's the best stayer for a long time. And going back past Stradivarius as well, like he's so solid. So I thought and if anybody's worried about him coming back in distance, he's just got so much pace, this horse, for a standout stayer, that this distance will be absolutely fine. So you'd want 1.7 or bigger, but I think if he turns up, he's going to go and win. The other one at the price is 10.0 shot in the Scepter Stakes, and that is Queen of Mujan. She seemed to really appreciate the step up in distance last time. That was at York. She's obviously she hasn't got her head in front for a bit. She's been consistent without getting the job done, but she did best of those from off it last time. She got a wide draw at York over 7 furlongs. I always think that's a bit tricky because you're in the chute and you're straight into a bit of a bend. So you're always covering a little bit more ground than some of them. Misinformation and Alpha Kellenic, the first and the third, were up there. Queen of Mujan tried to come from off it, and I thought she ran really well. She's well worth another go over 7 furlongs. She's definitely improving, and while she's become slightly frustrating, I get that. I think that she's well worth a go in this sort of company, stepping up in grade into Group 3 company. I think she'll be really suited by another go over 7 furlongs. So Queen of Mujan around about 10.0. Did you have anything, Steve, on Sunday?
No, nothing Sunday. I thought the favourites were probably too hard to oppose. The Curragh and Doncaster looked a tricky card. So I'm sticking to Saturday. I should be in France on Saturday at Auteuil. Provence Racing has a runner, Carl Philippe, www.provenceracing.com. Shares available in this horse who runs in a top race in France. So looking forward to seeing him again. Third for us, first time up 10 days ago at Lyon, Paris.
Okay, good stuff. If that makes it into the podcast, I'll be amazed. There's a full recap of all the bets after the recording at insights.matchbook.com. Remember that you can head there for a full recap of all of our bets. Matchbook Zero long shot. Matchbook Zero goes live at 10 a.m. each day. Oh, I haven't written mine down. Hopefully we're all in different races. There's zero margin, zero commission, so it's well worth for a win bet heading to Matchbook Zero from 10 a.m. each day. Steve, who is yours?
The long shot is Arian Power in the 4:15 at Doncaster.
Mine's going to be Al Bashir, who, for all he's only 11.0, at least he's double figure prices in the Portland. And
yeah, that's good. Yeah, different races, and I haven't written it down, but I'm going to go for the same one that Deasy has gone for. That's a good planning.
I don't care. It's the only one I've got. Sorry, everybody. That's in the 225. Dees, who's yours? Dees, who's yours?
Bergerac in the 225 Doncaster. The same race as Albashir.
I said it first. DC, are you laying economics?
Ah,
I love it.
I'm not going to back him. You'd have to lay him. Like you're getting
Ugh,
even money to field. You know, why not?
that's great.
If you can't pick out one of the other ones, just be miserable and then just lay him and hope that he loses. Then.
I think you're gonna find this mad difficult. Best bets. I think we've done a different race. Mine is Kinross. My best bet in the 3 o'clock at Doncaster, the Park Stakes. Kinross. Steve.
Wolf of Badenoch in the Champagne Stakes, 150 Doncaster.
And DC.
Los Angeles in the Irish Champion Stakes.
Okay, good stuff. There we are. Thanks, everyone. Really good weekend of racing. Hope you enjoy it. Hope we found you plenty of winners. And we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.